They found her body floating in a water tank on the roof. But that's not even the disturbing part. Hotel guests had been drinking that water, bathing in it, brushing their teeth with it for 19 days. And when police reviewed the security footage of her final moments, what they saw was so bizarre that millions of people still can't agree on what they're looking at. This is the Elisa Lam case, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why this mystery refuses to die. February 2013, downtown Los Angeles. The Cecil Hotel stands like a relic from another era. 14 stories of Art Deco architecture that's seen better days, much better days. Because the Cecil isn't just any hotel. It's earned a reputation as one of the most haunted, most cursed buildings in America. And what happened to 21-year-old Elisa Lam would only add to that dark legacy. But before we get to Elisa, you need to understand the hotel itself. Because the Cecil's history reads like a catalog of human tragedy, and some people believe the building itself is cursed. The Cecil Hotel opened in 1924 during the height of the Roaring Twenties as a destination for business travelers and tourists. But the Great Depression hit hard, and the area around the hotel deteriorated rapidly. By the 1950s, the Cecil had transformed from an upscale establishment into a haven for transients, the desperate and the dangerous. The building earned the nickname the Suicide Hotel after a series of deaths. In 1931, a guest named W.K. Norton checked in and died by suicide, the first of many. In 1944, a woman was found dead in her room after overdosing. In 1962, a woman jumped from the 9th floor. In 1964, another guest leaped to her death from the 7th floor, landing on the hotel's famous neon sign. But here's where it gets truly dark. The hotel didn't just attract victims, it attracted predators. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, paid $14 a night to stay at the Cecil during his 1985 murder spree. He'd return to his room on the top floor, blood still on his hands, and walk through the lobby like nothing happened. Hotel staff later reported seeing him discard blood-stained clothing in the dumpsters outside. Then there's Jack Unterweger, an Austrian journalist and convicted murderer who'd served time and reinvented himself as a crime reporter. In 1991, he stayed at the Cecil while writing an article about crime in Los Angeles. What nobody knew at the time, he was murdering sex workers in the area during his stay. He killed at least 3 women while calling the Cecil home. 2 serial killers. Same hotel, different decades. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. So when Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil in late January 2013, she was walking into a building soaked in tragedy. But she had no way of knowing she was about to become its most famous mystery. Elisa was a 21-year-old student from Vancouver, Canada, on a solo trip down the West Coast. She was bright, creative, maintained a blog where she wrote about her struggles with bipolar disorder and depression. But she was also excited about this trip, posting updates on social media, taking photos, planning her route from San Diego to San Francisco with a stop in Los Angeles. She checked into the Cecil on January 26. At first, she was in a shared room, but other guests complained about her odd behavior. The hotel moved her to a private room. What was the odd behavior? Reports vary, but guests mentioned she was leaving notes on their belongings, asking them to leave. January 31st was the last day anyone saw Elisa Lam alive. She was supposed to check out that day and meet family in Santa Cruz. She never showed. Her family reported her missing. Los Angeles Police Department launched an investigation, searching the hotel, the surrounding area, even the roof. They found nothing. But they did find something that would haunt this case forever. Security camera footage from inside one of the hotel's elevators. And what it shows has sparked debate, analysis, and wild theories for over a decade. Let me describe what you see in this footage because, even if you've watched it, the details matter. The timestamp shows February 1st, though police believe this is the last day she was seen alive. January 31st. Elisa enters the elevator wearing a red hoodie. She presses multiple floor buttons. Then she moves to the corner of the elevator, almost like she's hiding. She waits. The elevator doors don't close. She peeks her head out, looking down the hallway both ways. She steps fully into the hallway, looks around, then jumps back into the elevator and presses herself into the corner again. She presses more buttons. The doors still don't close. Then her behavior becomes truly strange. She steps out of the elevator again and stands in the hallway just outside the elevator doors. She makes hand gestures, moving her hands in strange patterns. Some people say she looks like she's talking to someone. Others say she looks like she's arguing. Her movements are erratic, almost dance-like at times. She steps back into the elevator, presses more buttons, steps out, steps in. The whole time the elevator doors remain open, as if something's blocking the sensor, but there's nothing visible blocking them. Finally, Elisa walks out of frame down the hallway. The elevator doors stay open for a full minute, then they close, and the elevator begins moving, stopping at each floor she'd pressed. That's the last time anyone sees Elisa Lam alive. The footage went viral almost immediately. Millions of people watched it, trying to decode what they were seeing. The theories ranged from rational to supernatural to completely bizarre. Some said she was clearly having a mental health crisis. Elisa had bipolar disorder and was on medication. Maybe she was experiencing a manic episode or psychotic break. The erratic movements, the paranoia, the apparent hallucinations all could point to a psychiatric emergency. Others noticed what seemed like impossible details. Why don't the elevator doors close? Elevators have sensors, but she's not blocking them. Some claimed the footage was edited, that frames were missing. Others said there was someone else in that hallway, someone we can't see. The internet, being the internet, immediately jumped to more sinister explanations. There's a horror movie called Dark Water about a girl who drowns in a water tank. There's a disease outbreak in the movie linked to the water. The similarities were too perfect. Was someone recreating the film? Then there's the conspiracy theories. Some claimed Elisa was playing the elevator game, a Korean urban legend where you press buttons in a specific sequence to access another dimension. In the legend, if you successfully complete the game, you enter an alternate reality. The final step? Getting out on a different floor than where you started, which is exactly what appears to happen in the footage. But while the internet debated, police were still searching for Elisa. They used search dogs, helicopters, searched nearby buildings and homeless encampments. Nothing. It was as if she'd vanished into thin air. Until February 19th, 19 days after she was last seen. Guests at the Cecil had been complaining about the water for days. It was black. It tasted strange. The pressure was low. Some guests said it tasted sweet. Maintenance finally decided to check the water supply. The Cecil has 4 large water tanks on the roof, each one 10 feet tall and holding thousands of gallons. When maintenance worker Santiago Lopez climbed the ladder and opened the first tank, he saw something floating. At first, he thought it was a piece of wood or debris. Then he realized he was looking at a human body, face down, naked, decomposing. It was Elisa Lam. The discovery raised more questions than it answered. How did she get up there? The roof access was locked and alarmed. Only staff had keys. How did she get into the tank? The tanks are 10 feet tall with heavy lids that require significant force to move. How did she end up naked? Her clothes and belongings were found floating in the tank with her, but she wasn't wearing them. And here's the question that haunts everyone. Was she alone? The autopsy results came back weeks later. No signs of physical trauma, no evidence of assault. Toxicology showed she had her prescribed medications in her system, but at lower levels than expected. The coroner ruled her death as accidental drowning, with bipolar disorder as a significant contributing factor. But that ruling satisfied almost no one. Let's examine the problems with the official explanation. First, the roof access. The door to the roof was locked and alarmed. Hotel staff said the alarm didn't go off that night. So either Elisa had a key, which she didn't, or the alarm malfunctioned, or someone let her up there. Some investigators noted there's a fire escape that leads to the roof. It's possible, though difficult, that Elisa could have accessed the roof that way. But it would require climbing over barriers and navigating a dangerous path in the dark. Then there's the water tank itself. These tanks are 10 feet tall. The ladder runs up the side, but you still need to climb up and lift the heavy lid. One investigator tried to recreate it and said it was extremely difficult, requiring significant upper body strength. Could Elisa, in a mental health crisis, have managed this alone in the dark? And why was she naked? The coroner suggested she might have undressed due to paradoxical undressing, a phenomenon where people in extreme confusion or hypothermia remove their clothes. But it wasn't particularly cold that night, and if she was experiencing paradoxical undressing, that typically happens in the late stages of hypothermia, which doesn't fit the timeline. Her family and friends struggled with the explanation. They said Elisa was doing well, managing her bipolar disorder, excited about her trip. While they acknowledged she'd struggled in the past, they didn't believe she was in crisis at the time. So what really happened? Let's walk through the most plausible scenarios. Theory 1. Mental health crisis. Elisa had bipolar disorder and was on multiple medications including Wellbutrin, Lamictal, and Effexor. The autopsy showed lower than expected levels of these medications in her system, suggesting she may not have been taking them consistently. When someone with bipolar disorder stops taking medication, they can experience severe manic episodes that include paranoia, hallucinations, and erratic behavior. The elevator footage certainly suggests someone in distress. In a manic state, people can exhibit extraordinary strength and do things they normally couldn't, like climbing a water tank. And this is the official explanation, and it's supported by evidence. Theory 2. Someone else was involved. Some investigators believe the elevator footage shows Elisa hiding from someone or talking to someone off camera. The fact that the elevator doors don't close is suspicious. The way she peeks around corners suggests she's being followed. And the difficulty of accessing the roof and water tank alone makes some think she had help, whether voluntary or forced. But there's no evidence of another person, no DNA, no witnesses, no suspicious activity caught on any other cameras. Theory 3. Accidental access. Some former Cecil Hotel staff have said the roof access wasn't as secure as officially reported. Guests had accessed the roof before. Drug users would go up there. Maybe Elisa found the door propped open or got in through the fire escape. Once on the roof, in a confused state, she could have been drawn to the water tanks. Maybe she climbed up to look inside, lost her balance, and fell in. Once in the water, disoriented and unable to find the opening above her, she drowned. Theory 4. The dark water connection. This is more speculative, but the similarities to the horror film are eerie. In Dark Water, a girl drowns in a water tank. The building has an elevator that malfunctions. The water in the building becomes contaminated. Some people believe Elisa was recreating the film, though there's no evidence she'd even seen it. Others think it's just a disturbing coincidence. Here's what we know for certain. Elisa Lam died by drowning in a water tank on the roof of the Cecil Hotel. Her death was ruled accidental. The elevator footage shows her in clear distress, exhibiting behavior consistent with a mental health crisis. The physical evidence, while unusual, doesn't definitively prove foul play. But here's what bothers people: the elevator doors. Elevators are designed to stay open if something blocks the sensor, but nothing visible is blocking it. Some experts say the doors could malfunction and stay open, but the timing, the way they eventually close after Elisa leaves, it feels too convenient. The naked body. Why remove all your clothes before climbing into a water tank? Even in a manic episode, That specific sequence of events is hard to explain. The roof access, multiple locks, an alarm system, and somehow Elisa gets up there in the middle of the night without anyone noticing? And then there's the hotel itself. The Cecil has seen too much death, too much darkness. Some people believe the building is genuinely cursed, that it draws tragedy to itself. Elisa Lam becomes one more name in a long list of victims claimed by the hotel. After Elisa's death, the hotel tried to rebrand. They changed the name to Stay on Main, attempting to distance themselves from the Cecil's dark reputation. But you can't escape history that easily. The building became a destination for dark tourists, people who wanted to see where Elisa died, where serial killers stayed, where so much tragedy unfolded. In 2021, Netflix released a documentary series called Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. It brought renewed attention to the case, interviewed investigators, guests, web sleuths who became obsessed with solving the mystery. But even after 4 episodes, the conclusion was the same. We'll probably never know exactly what happened. Elisa's family has requested privacy, asked people to stop speculating, to let their daughter rest in peace. They believe she experienced a tragic mental health crisis and died accidentally. They don't want her memory defined by conspiracy theories and internet speculation. And maybe they're right. Maybe the truth is simpler than we want it to be. A young woman, far from home, struggling with mental illness, stops taking her medication consistently, experiences a crisis, and makes a series of tragic decisions that lead to her death. But that elevator footage, those 19 days of guests drinking contaminated water, the impossible physics of accessing that tank alone, the Cecil Hotel's cursed history, it all adds up to something that feels incomplete, like we're missing crucial pieces of the puzzle. Here's what I think. I believe Elisa was experiencing a mental health crisis. The elevator footage makes that clear. I believe she accessed the roof, probably through the fire escape or an unsecured door. I believe she climbed that water tank, though I don't know how or why. And I believe she drowned accidentally, disoriented, and unable to escape. But I also believe there are details we don't know, things that didn't make it into the official report, small pieces of evidence that might change the picture. And I believe the Cecil Hotel's dark energy, whether supernatural or just the accumulated weight of tragedy, played a role in making this vulnerable young woman's final hours even more terrifying. The Cecil Hotel finally closed its doors permanently in 2017. The building is being converted into affordable housing. Maybe that will change its energy, erase decades of darkness with new beginnings. Or maybe the building's history is too deep, too stained to ever truly clean. Elisa Lam's blog is still online. You can read her thoughts, her struggles, her hopes. She was a real person with dreams and challenges, not just a mystery to be solved. She deserves to be remembered as more than just the girl in the elevator, more than just another Cecil Hotel tragedy. But the question remains, what was she seeing in that elevator? Who or what was she hiding from? And how did a locked roof and a sealed water tank become her final resting place? The Cecil Hotel keeps its secrets well, and maybe, just maybe, we're not meant to know all of them. What do you think happened to Elisa Lam? Mental health crisis, foul play, or something stranger? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more unsolved mysteries, hit that subscribe button. Because the world is full of secrets, and some of them refuse to stay buried.